Well, they did it. They finally really did it. Somebody has remade one of my one and only favorite pregnancy fiction novels, or short stories, if you will, Kelly's Big Belly, which, as most of you know, is my one and only favorite pregnancy fiction story ever. And I didn't know they were going to remake it. I had no idea anybody was thinking of remaking it. I mean, how can you remake a classic? And on that note, we've had a lot of remakes lately. Have you noticed? From Red Dawn to Total Recall, now this? Well, needless to say, any remake, whatever genre or subject matter you're doing, remakes tend to not be too good. 9 times out of 10, usually the remakes fall very short of the original, and they tend to be skewered by critics and fans alike. And I'm sorry to say, the remake, well, not only do I think it was not necessary to remake the original story, it falls into the same category of disaster as most remakes do, unfortunately. Now, this isn't to bash the author or the person that rewrote the story. This obviously reflects his own personal vision and what he wanted to do with it. And it's not a personal attack. It's just a disagreement on subject matter. It's not a personal attack. So don't send me angry emails and messages and everybody get all riled up out there. Okay? I'm a critic, and I criticize or review subject matter relating to pregnancy. Okay? There's a difference between criticizing and being a bully or just a plain ass. And with that said, let's get into this review of Kelly's Big Belly, the remake. Blame Picasso is the user who is responsible for this new rewrite of Kelly's Big Belly. He was requested to do this at a little place called Dimensions Magazine, which is where the original story came from. Now, the original author never gave his name. He just put it up anonymous. So we have no idea what the original author's intent of this story was or what he thought. We can only guess as to how he would feel about a remake. Having said that, though, I've read the story. And for those of you who want to know about the original, you can check out my special review of Kelly's Big Belly. It deals with the original storyline. As per this review, I'll just be hitting the highlights of things that I didn't like about the remake and that I did like about the original, and the disagreements I have with the new take on Kelly's Big Belly. First off, this new author decided that when he remade the story, it would have to be... Well, first of all, there was no request to actually remake it. He decided he needed to remake it because he thought, first of all, the character of Kelly was not very smart. He thought she was dumb. And I don't agree with that at all. I found the character of Kelly to be a sweet, innocent, loving woman. Not naive and stupid, but maybe that's the way it came off to some people, but I certainly didn't get that impression from the story. Kelly came off to me as a sweet, kind girl, and that's why sometimes she got caught in situations where she just didn't know what was happening because she looked for the best in people and not the worst in people. And that's my take on that. But there's more to it than just that. I guess before I get into the negative stuff, I want to say some of the good stuff about the author and what he did. He did give Kelly more of a background. He gave her more of a backstory, filled in some of the blanks, and tried to give her... He even gave her a last name, Valentine, Kelly Valentine. He definitely added a lot more to the story, but what he added was not what I wanted to see, read, or hear in a pregnancy fiction novel. Because the stuff that was remade, well, it's kind of depressing. For instance, he gave Kelly a backstory, all right, a depressing and depraved backstory. We learn in this new version that Kelly has been the victim of abuse in her life by her father, physical abuse. He was a drunk. We learn that her mother died in a horrible car accident. Yay, what a fun story. We also learn that Kelly's boyfriend, Rick, is actually not the father of her child, but some guy named Scott, a complete douchebag a-hole who should be killed off in the story and is never killed off, of course. He actually hates Kelli, doesn't want anything to do with her child, and actually wishes that she would just have an abortion. Yay, what a happy little tale. We also learn that Kelli doesn't just work in some office or as some secretary. She's a porn star, Kelli Valentine, pornographic film star with her own little bitty industry called Rebel Alliance Films. Now, obviously, once I saw that, I realized they're going in a completely different direction with this. By making her into a porn star and doing all these other things, they actually take the uniqueness out of Kelli's big belly. Her story was not like every other story out there, which is what this remake unfortunately has become. It was unique. Yes, there were sexual elements to it, but if you didn't like that, you could also take that out of the story. In the printed version that I printed out, I edited those little parts out because I actually thought it was a lot better without them. Now, I understand a lot of you don't agree with that, and that's fine. I'm not saying you have to have it one way or the other, but I'm saying Kelli's Big Belly was a story that crossed bridges, I thought. For instance, it was on a site that was not necessarily pregnancy related. Dimension's site is actually a place for people who have sort of a weight gain fetish instead of the pregnancy fetish. This actually combined the two, the original Kelli's Big Belly. And so it kind of bridged the gap between those of us that only have a pregnancy fetish or those of us that only have a weight gain fetish. And I know there are some members who have both. But for those of us who only have a pregnancy fetish, or for the rest of us who only have a weight gain fetish, it really did help bring people together in this one story. And I only think Kelli's Big Belly could have done that. Sadly, this version, however, it doesn't. This version of Kelli's Big Belly, the remake, is actually more of a weight gain fetish than a pregnancy fetish. And as a result, a lot more of those elements get put into the remake than they did in the original. So as a result, the story that had originally combined both fetishes, weight gain and pregnancy, the pregnancy part is kind of shoved off to the side and more of the weight gain stuff is put in. And so it becomes really a story only for those that have a weight gain fetish and less for those who have a pregnancy fetish. And it didn't have to be that way. I mean, the original showed, to me, how to exactly make a realistic pregnancy fiction story. It did not involve aliens. It did not involve a magic potion of how her belly was getting bigger or anything like that, or anything really silly. It was just a pregnant woman who was dealing with her weight gain, which is another problem I have with the story. In the original, she was conflicted a little bit about her changing body, how big she was getting. In the end, she accepts it and she realizes she's beautiful, but she went back and forth a lot during the original story. In the remake, she never has a conflict with it. Not really. Maybe just once, but it's only very briefly. Look, I could go on and make several videos about every little thing that I found wrong with this remake, but I'll just give you the basic gist of it like this. The original had heart. Yeah, it had some problems with it. Maybe it didn't give enough backstory, but so what? We enjoyed the original, or I certainly did. It's the one and only pregnancy fiction that I've ever loved. We sympathized with Kelli when she was an innocent, beautiful woman who wasn't going through any more of a change than what basically a normal pregnant woman would. We loved her and we sympathized with her when her belly was getting bigger and she was having all this incredible weight gain and she was dealing with the changes in her body. You know, is she beautiful? Is she ugly? This is the conflict that was going on in her mind. And of course, she eventually accepts the fact that she is beautiful, and she comes to realize that men find her beautiful and that the pregnant body is a beautiful thing. That was what we loved about Kelli, and that's what we loved about the original. And sadly, in this remake, well, that's all lost. The story is just a lot more darker, and to me, it's not very special. It's just not as good as the original, and that's unfortunate. I hope that at some point people will go back and at least look at the original and see what was so great about it, you know? What was really special about Kelli's Big Belly. So in the end, with regards to this remake, I'm afraid it just falls into the trap that all remakes fall into. It's just not as good as the original, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, unfortunately, the remake didn't work out. However, the original is still the best, and to me, it will always be the best. Not the most perfect, but the best pregnancy fiction short story I have ever read. And I know I'll enjoy reading it time and time again. I mean, when it comes to Kelly's Big Belly, oh, you just love her. She's wonderful, she's a delight. It's just a wonderful piece of fiction for any pregnancy lover. And like I said, it does bridge the gap between those that are into weight gain and those that are into pregnancy, and kind of brings them all together. So, the final verdict, the remake, skip it. But the original, still number one, still champion, Kelly's Big Belly, the original. Well, that's all for now for this special review. We'll see you later, everybody. Bye for now.
Lights out, baby, running, look like the end.